Hi, friends. We're live.
Hi, everyone.
We're live in the car though because we were just driving around trying to find something that we needed for our pantry. We need a little lock for the pantry because we've got children who are worse than mice. And that's not to say we have mice because I think maybe we've got 4, and they stay in the basement if we've got them. Anyways,
You think we have mice?
I mean, maybe. I think every house does.
See, it sounds like you would like to think that we have mice.
No, because I'm terrified of them. I have traumatic dreams still about mice.
You're talking about it rather nonchalantly.
Okay, anyway. So we were driving around looking for a lock for the pantry to keep our mousy children out of the pantry. I went to Menards earlier today and was accosted by an armed security guard with he had the tactical vest.
You got
he
accosted?
Had a weapon. Yes. He was
I don't
asking
think that's the right word.
for ID from my child.
Harassed?
Yes, I believe we were harassed.
I think that's different than being accosted. I don't use that word ever, so
whatever. Anyways,
I wouldn't bandy it about like that.
So he harassed us. Very happy for ID from my child, my teenager, because Menards is no longer allowing anyone under 16 in the store. And if you look to be under 16, they're going to ask you for ID. And
I think if you look to be under 20, they're going to ask you for ID.
Right. I got mouthy. I'm not going to lie. I let him know that he was violating Fourth Amendment privacy rights, and I've tweeted about it already, and I have, I'm going to dismiss this chat head here, and I have started drafting an email to Menards about it, and I tweeted at the governor and the city of St. Paul and Menards.
Oh, okay, good.
So I did all that already because it's ridiculous. It's a Fourth Amendment violation for privacy rights, and it's discriminatory.
Do you think they hire a third-party security team, or do you think they just have their, they just hire security?
I don't know. I'm really curious. I gotta find that out.
I mean, they're not incredibly, convincing security people. They just stand there by the door.
Sure. You want to give me your phone? I'll share the stream. But that's not really what we want to talk about. I mean, it's kind of related, I guess. I'm sick of this.
Yeah, so, it's, exactly, we're sick of it. I mean, it was surprising that, that they were, I think that he was wearing, the full tactical gear, I think was the most alarming part of it.
In a flippin' hardware store.
Right, yeah, I mean, okay. I don't know, but what are they going to do? Stay away, there's a virus, we're going to have to shoot you. I mean, I don't know, what's the deal? Well, did he have, a mask on and everything?
No, he didn't have a mask. He just had the vest. He was vested, and he had a weapon strapped. He was strapped.
Yeah. Was it probably a taser weapon?
No, I saw a gun. He had a gun.
Okay.
And that's not the part that bothers me. I don't care if people are carrying a weapon. I'm not bothered by open carry. I'm not bothered by it.
Right.
What bothered me was that a hardware store had a guy in tactical gear with a weapon harassing minor children for their ID for a hardware store.
I wonder if the vest, it was a bulletproof vest he was wearing, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if the vest is optional, and it's if you want to wear a vest, you can go buy yourself a vest and use it for your security detail.
Maybe.
I mean, if this was something that he was optionally doing.
I try to give the benefit of the doubt, and whatnot, but
well, right. I mean, obviously
this guy was just a jerk to us.
Well, he's just trying
to
do his job, is the way I saw it. And I wasn't there, so I don't know exactly how it was, but obviously, if that's his job and he's supposed to do, if it's, I don't know.
But the Nazis all had jobs. They were all just doing their jobs.
That's true.
Nazis were all doing their jobs.
Did you?
And the Gestapo and
You mentioned Nazis.
Stasi's. Yeah, I did. I said I was not nice because I was mad, and he got mouthy at me too. He's like, if you have something to say, then say it to my boss. And I'm like, no, I'm saying it to you. This is to you. You don't need to be mouthy at me.
Yeah.
No, it's getting. This is all to the point where, you know what, we can start saying, this is what the Nazis did. Like, we can legitimately say that kind of thing. The Nazis said things like, for your safety, you know, it's a well-known fact that they did that. They said, this is for your safety. It's for our safety that they've closed everything. Is it for our safety? We went to Lowe's, and we found that they were closed. They closed at 7.
We, wanted to, not buy anything else at Menards.
Right, we're not going to buy anything at Menards anymore.
So we're going to go to Lowe's. Okay, they usually sell things for a higher price, but it's usually higher quality stuff, and so that's great. And they're farther away, but whatever, it's worth it. Okay, so we'll go and try it. Well, they have modified hours. They're supposed to be open until 10. Well, they're closing at 7 now.
And they've got an itty bitty sign on their door.
This big, you couldn't.
Oh my gosh, it was crazy. And then we looked up Home Depot. Home Depot closed at 6.
Yeah.
And my question to Travis was, does the virus get worse after a certain time of the day?
Right.
Is that why people are closing early? It's insane. And I don't want anybody to die from this. People are going to die though. And people have died.
Yeah.
And it's not any justification to completely destroy the economy, ruin the lives of who knows how many people. How many people are killing themselves already over not being able to pay their bills? How many women are falling into destitution and making a horrible decision to enter into prostitution over this, or staying with their abusers over this, or whatever. It's just, there's so much that's so messed up about this whole thing. And people are kind of laughing about Governor Walz because the order was extended and it ends just before the Minnesota fishing opener, when that's like a huge revenue day in the state of Minnesota, is the fishing opener. People pay their licenses, and there's like big fishing contests, and there's all this, and people are like, oh, is he gonna open in time because he's a fisherman? Gonna open in time for the fishing opener, or is he just gonna go fishing all on his own? Or are we gonna go become like Michigan and just completely outlaw everything that anybody could ever possibly do, indoors or outdoors, outside of their homes? Like, how far does this go?
Right.
People are banning buying seeds, calling it non-essential for people to be able to grow a garden to feed their families. You cut off their means of making an income, and you're also not letting them provide food by their own work in any capacity. So, like, where does this end is really what I want to know. And they've rolled back they've taken away so many liberties that are not theirs to take. And
I think that's an important point. We were talking about that yesterday with our friend. We had a friend over yesterday.
We did.
For Easter.
We had a friend over for Easter. Not afraid to say it.
Very, very avant-garde, I would say.
It was a spontaneous decision.
Yeah.
Somebody who needed somewhere to be for Easter. And we're not going to turn that away. We're not going to turn that person away.
Right. And it wasn't even necessarily about, it should have been fine. But it wasn't necessarily about that. It was more about, why can't we? Yeah, sure, why not? Why not?
Yep.
Of course. It's Easter. Come on over. It's exciting. It's celebrating.
We were celebrating.
We had a great conversation.
Yep.
And then
Happy Easter, by the way.
And we had our friend over, and we were talking about, that point about how they don't have the rights that we have to go about and do things and get by and do what we need to do, reasonably to take care of ourselves, is that's a right that we have, but it's not because the government has given it to us.
Right.
And that's been the whole basis of all of your efforts, really, about any kind of advocacy is about is about taking hold of those rights that you have and not pleading for the government to acknowledge them or to protect them or whatever, but about recognizing that they are our rights, like women having a right to their bodies and their choices around birthing and those activities, or people having a right to means of survival and about connecting and getting together with other people. Like, we are a social species and we're meant to associate with other people, and it is a right that we have.
I saw a TikTok. I don't have TikTok. It was a video. It was a link to a TikTok on Twitter this morning. It was this woman standing outside of the home of one of her loved ones, screaming at the top of her, or yelling rather, at the top of her lungs, "I love you, I miss you, I can't wait for all of this," choose some expletives, "to be over, because I miss people, and I miss having dinner with people, and I miss drinking wine with people, and I miss touching people." Like, we're not made for this. Period. We're made to be together. And forcing us all apart is ridiculous. And they're using many tactics to do this too. There's so much that's social pressure that's built around, and the internet is a great tool for that social pressure too. It's incredible. All of a sudden everybody's making masks, and if you're not wearing a mask, people look at you funny now.
Yeah.
You get like this shaming look from people if you go somewhere and you're not wearing a mask, and it's like, would you guys pay attention to this propaganda? This is propaganda. And there's I can find it and link it in the description, but there's a couple of studies out now too that the cloth masks that people are making they're not effective.
Right.
They're just not effective at stopping the transmission of a microscopic virus with your mom's quilting fabric. Shut up. Like, I don't mean to be rude, but come on. Use your brain a little bit. Think a little bit harder about this. You really think a virus is not going to get through a cloth mask? Hi, Rhiannon.
Now, some people I have heard are sewing. Actually, on the Catholic Man Show, one of the guy's mothers made him a mask and put a HEPA filter in it. I don't know where she got it, but apparently that's the thing you could do. And I mean, sure, that's probably fairly effective.
Sure. But most people aren't doing that. They're making a double-lined cotton mask.
What the cotton mask can do is it can stop a lot of bacterial and other germs getting in, and that could help you keep your immune system potentially avoid compromising your immune system, which might be good, but it's not going to stop a virus. And also, okay, then if you're not being exposed to any kind of germs at all, then how long does it take? I don't know all the details on the physiology of it, but how long does it take for your immune system to then get lazy and forget how to protect you?
Right.
Or like whatever new germs might be out there, and that, because it's generally speaking, the immune system needs to kind of exercise and train for the big virus that could kill you, kind of a thing. And that's we've actually pretty deliberately done that in our lives, is let our immune system work to keep us healthy and make us healthy and strong and keep us going. And that's an important part of who why humans exist, really.
Right.
I mean, it's
immunity building.
Certainly it's all according to God's plan, but like this physiology, what we understand about the way science works is real, and it.
Oh, you're gonna want to go this way. Dale's closed up here because they're taking the bridge down. Yeah, it's crazy, but it's like it's a social control. Back to the point, really, is that mask is a social control, and it's built around, it's social woke points. If you've got a mask and you take your selfie, like I posted the other day, everybody's mask selfies are creepy to me. The only real purpose of the masks is to stop facial recognition software from functioning correctly. Like, that's literally the only legitimate purpose for everybody wearing these masks, and I can get on board with that. But I can't get on board with it as a means of controlling virus because it's not going to happen.
Right, and that is interesting. I mean, isn't it true that it's illegal in most states to wear a mask for the general
Concealment of your identity.
Concealment of identity,
Yeah.
and it's not just about facial recognition software. It's about like anybody really being able to recognize anybody else.
Right.
And so you can go around. Unknown as you're doing all sorts of nefarious things if you're wearing a mask, and so it's actually not okay to be running around wearing a mask.
Right.
Well, if you're running around wearing a mask and nobody knows who you are, then you can do bad things easier.
Right.
You can't be caught on camera. I mean, like, they're not going to be able to know. Actually, I was really surprised that Grace like had that intuitive thought, like, I'm wearing a mask at Target and there are cameras on me, but they have no idea who I am because I'm wearing a mask.
I
like,
could
they
be
really
using
wouldn't be able to tell who I am
anybody's
anymore.
credit card. I could be, just doing whatever I wanted to do at Target.
And that thought really hadn't ever crossed my mind. I hadn't really, like, I went as far as to realize that, like, when I'm looking at somebody, they can't necessarily see the facial features and expressions on my face anymore if I'm wearing a mask, because I wore the dust mask a few times out, knowing that it wasn't really doing much of anything for me except maybe stopping some germs. But then I thought that it did in part make other people feel more comfortable, and I think that was part of it too. And this all kind of goes into that social conditioning, right?
Right.
It's like it makes other people feel more comfortable, and so okay, we're all kind of doing the same thing together, but really it's not really gonna change anything.
Right. It's all part of the rhetoric, though. We're in this together rhetoric.
So I got a call from one of my buddies earlier today, and he was just checking in, and I said, okay, well, how you doing? How you doing in quarantine? And he said, well, okay, but I mean, it's after Easter now, so it's like, okay, even though we got some snow, like the weather's starting to get nice, and sitting at home is not gonna feel normal anymore. Like, and I just was already starting to feel like it was gonna be getting old a week ago, and now it's just like, I don't know, just being blindly hunkered down like this and just like waiting it out or whatever is just like, what's the point? What are we really going to accomplish by not doing anything anymore?
Right.
It's like, if there's a deadly virus out there, and if my immune system isn't going to handle it, it's not going to make much of a difference in all reasonable assessment if I catch it now or if I catch it a year from now.
Right.
It's like it is what it is. And so what are we supposed to do? Just not do anything for a year and then get it, because now we've stopped.
Right, and they're already anticipating a second wave once fall comes.
Sure.
So are they going to close everything down again?
Right.
Kids going off to college, are they going to have school to go off to? Our daughter's going to college next fall.
Right.
What's
that going to be like?
What's that going to be like?
Anybody starting a new phase of their life coming up,
Right.
Or like, what are they supposed to do? Also another curiosity, what about everybody just getting out of college who can't go to interviews and stuff? Like, I guess they can do Zoom interviews. But then are they actually, okay, yeah, we'd like to hire you, but we can't actually bring anybody in to do training anymore. So, like, what, like, we can't,
Right.
You can't do anything.
Right.
What do they do now? Meanwhile, they've got their student loan starting. Well, okay, everything's on like a grace period or deferment or whatever right now for any government student loans anyways, but those aren't the only loans that people have.
Right.
So there's that too. And sure, some banks are being gracious about it, but not all of them. So what do they do? It's tough.
Yeah. I mean, I titled this thing, we're not going to take it anymore, but really, like, what can we do? There are a couple protests that are planned this week and this weekend in front of the governor's mansion here in St. Paul. And there's legislation being proposed. There are just two representatives that put forth a bill to strip Governor Walz of this executive overreach that he's made, and they've got the ability to do it legally. And meanwhile, he's extended this peacetime emergency to May 14th. I don't know what that if that is going to include the stay home order that he extended to May 4th. But there's rumor that it will, that he'll just keep extending the stay home order.
Oh wait, so I thought I thought the extension was of the stay
No.
shelter in place order.
Nope, it's the extension of the peacetime emergency.
Okay, so
because
that's
that
different.
that reallocates monies that were already apportioned for other things, and that's part of what gives him the ability to do that, I guess. And then also calling up the National Guard if he needs to, which he's already enacted the National Guard for one maneuver that the public was told about with regard to getting some supplies from Fort Ripley. But
what kind of supplies?
Medical supplies.
Medical supplies. Oh, masks.
Yeah, masks and PPE and stuff. But is this just gonna keep going? And I mean, I feel like people are just they're fed up. And there's a group on Facebook now and an initiative to recall Governor Walz. Like, people just are fed up. They don't want. I just said to Travis in the car, I hope Governor Walz really. We're home now, so we're just gonna sit here and talk for a second. I really hope Governor Walz has enjoyed his single term, because that's all he's gonna get. Like, Greater Minnesota especially, because in Minnesota the virus is. The few cases have been concentrated in the Twin Cities metro and just like immediate suburbs, and haven't been largely in Greater Minnesota. And Greater Minnesota is still shut down, and people are mad. They're like, we don't have the same life and culture that the Twin Cities does. So why is Greater Minnesota suffering for what's going on in the Twin Cities? And we out in the Greater Minnesota don't have necessarily access to things that the Twin Cities has, even though things are leaving the shelves really rapidly in the Twin Cities. They're also restocked really rapidly. But the outer state doesn't have that necessarily, and it takes a lot more money. Things cost more in outer state because, if you're just going for one grocery store in one small town, and then you have to drive 100 miles before your next delivery, that's going to cost a lot more money for a grocery store to restock like that. And it's like the governor's just not thinking that through. And so Greater Minnesota is just like, you're done, guy. We're done with you. And even a lot of people here in the Twin Cities, and people are just turning on each other. I mean, we've seen how many instances of people who are reporting on neighbors just here in the Twin Cities, in our Twin Cities neighborhoods.
Right. Yeah. There was this little video posted in the neighborhood group about somebody, about a group of people playing soccer in a field locally, and I don't know, they were all darker skinned, so they were all the same color. They may have very well all have been related, was my initial thought. Like, maybe they're all related, or maybe they've decided that, okay, we're basically family or whatever. And so if we're gonna end up getting infected, we're gonna end up getting infected. Like, that should be a reasonable decision that a group of people can come together and make. Together, understanding the risks. We live together, we work together, we play together, we're together, and we pray together. They might be religious, and that might be one of their bonds, and all of those things should be important, and they should be able to practice that. And I mean, recreating is really important. And furthermore, they're outside in the sun on it was a nice day when it was recorded. It was a little over a week ago before the snow came on Easter, and they were, getting some exercise and being healthy. And that's all really good stuff. And it's supposed to help. Sunshine
is the best disinfectant.
Yeah.
Like, that's why that phrase exists, because it's true in general. It's just crazy. Or the story I told you about, there was a person who on Twitter took a picture of a couple, a married couple, getting harassed by police because they were sitting next to each other on a park bench. And the police were like, you need to be 6 feet apart from each other. And they're like, we're married and we live together. And they're like, we don't care. You need to be 6 feet apart or we're going to arrest you. I mean, how insane is that? A married couple who's going to then go home, maybe kiss, go to bed together, do what married people do. But police want to give them a ticket for sitting on a park bench together.
Right.
Like, this is bonkers.
Because you can't be next to anybody else. And I have felt when we were at line at Menard to return that stuff, I was like, well, we're not 6 feet apart right now. We walked in together. We're standing next to each other. We're 6 feet apart from the person in front of us because the sign says stay 6 feet apart. But we were closer than that. And I was half thinking like, uh-oh, someone's going to tell us that we're supposed to be apart from each other.
And then I'm going to have words.
Right. And it's like, but that is like what is, that's like the expectation. Everybody has to be 6 feet apart because nobody can share germs with anyone, and that's not okay. And then like your friend with a 6-month-old baby.
Yeah.
Your,
What's she
your
gonna do?
baby
Leave her
can't come into the
kid
store.
in her
Well,
car?
what am I gonna do?
My baby belongs on my body,
Right.
so forget you.
Right.
You
And then
don't get to do
furthermore, like, okay, so the baby's gonna come into the store, and then okay, well now the baby's exposed to whatever's there. Well, okay, but also the baby would be exposed to whatever the mother was just exposed to, because
that.
the
Right.
baby's gonna be
It doesn't make
with
any
the mother
sense.
anyway. So it's like that's what it is.
Oh,
you
this
know?
is so stupid.
Babies are always exposed to everything that their mothers are exposed to in pretty much every circumstance, and that's normal and expected, and the way that things are supposed to be.
Right.
So yeah, it doesn't make any sense, and it's really a problem. And I mean, like, there's not a whole lot of things that we really need to go out for. All of my work is actually, transferred to remote, so that's fine.
Right. It's
working at
really just
home.
our recreation and like going to the library. That's what we do. We go to church,
Yeah.
we go to the library, we go recreate in the summer, and we go home. Like that's
Right.
that's
So
what we do.
So it's really the church thing is the biggest thing. That's
Yeah.
the biggest social activity.
And thanks be to God, we got to go to mass on Sunday. Our parish had a drive-in mass, and we're so happy. And if you can go subscribe to them, the Church of St. Agnes on YouTube. They're looking to get 1,000 subscriptions. I'll link them in the description box. But we got to go to a live stream mass, a drive-in mass on Easter. We didn't get to partake of the Eucharist, but we at least got to go to mass. And I did post a little video of that too, just a snippet of it. And going forward, we get to have a drive-in mass on Saturdays, and a drive-in mass, 2 of them on Sundays. So that's a blessing. But like, I wrote a post about why it's important for us to be at mass, and especially at Easter, because so many people, even Catholics, I've been astounded reading Catholics say, oh, it's no big deal. We've been dispensed. We can pray at home. I'm like, you sound like a Protestant right now. What is the matter with you? Yes, we know we can pray at home. Yes, we know God is everywhere, in everything, at all times. That's not the point, though. And I drew attention to, we all know that Jesus, when he was lost to Mary and Joseph, he wasn't really lost. They went to him and they found him. And what did he say? He said to them, didn't you know I'd be in my Father's house? Because that's where he is. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, Jesus is in the tabernacle, in every Catholic church. And he's there, body, blood, soul, and divinity, in the Eucharist. And so it's important for us to be there where he is. Even though we know he's everywhere and all around.
Right.
But bodily, in his body, soul, and divinity. Body, blood, soul, and divinity.
Yeah. And it's vitally important for us to honor, respect, and love that fact, and to remember it regularly. And that's why it is a weekly obligation.
Right.
In most normal circumstances.
It's not a weekly obligation for Protestants. Any Protestants that I know of, it's not a weekly obligation for them. So of course they can just say, oh, well, it's no big deal. We can just tune into the live stream. Well, I certainly don't want the live stream. And even the teenagers, they were like, it's so nice to get up when we went to mass on Sunday. We got dressed, even though we had to stay in our van, we all got dressed to go to mass. And the teenagers were like, it's so nice to get dressed and go out of the house for mass instead of just getting dressed and sitting in the chairs in our living room. It's a big deal, and it's a big part of structure and routine and commitment and faith and family, because it's not just our family. Like, our family is supposed to be, and we're striving to be, a model of the church on the small scale, but our family also extends to our Catholic family and our parish family, and to have that detachment is really painful.
Yeah. So, I mean, what we've, basically, like, we can't change, what church is doing right now.
Right.
I think that there are opportunities for adoration around, and I think I want to take more advantage of that. I've been kind of laying low from that, but taking more advantage of that. I know that you want to get to adoration, and then looking for opportunities. I mean, okay, so we're not going to see people at church, so because we're not going to church, or we'll see them in the parking lot or whatever. But maybe there are, select, few families and friends that we can actually plan to get together with a little bit more. And we're probably going to try to do that. And that's something that we can do, and that will help to sustain us. And, I mean, Christ does tell us that wherever 2 or 3 are gathered, there I am amongst them in their midst, and that's something that we do know is true. And so that gathering together, that's a little bit of meeting with Christ too. And so we can practice that. And I think that's important. And I mean, at least, certainly with the video connections and stuff, that can be helpful. And we met with our children's godparents over Zoom a couple times over the past couple weeks for Easter yesterday. And that was really important. But and that can be good too. So do that as you're doing it. I think is really important, but also to be able to physically get together with people, because that contact is life-bringing.
Yep.
That is where God and the Holy Spirit do get to work. And take a moment, like, even though maybe in most normal social settings you wouldn't, when you get together with somebody, maybe take a minute to say a prayer together. And just make that time just a little bit more meaningful than you normally would. I think that's important. Yeah,
absolutely. So, I mean, you call it civil disobedience, or you could just call it we're living our lives. And, I'm done. I'm not taking it.
Yeah.
He's not taking it. We're not taking it. We're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it.
Yeah. But it's probably time to get inside. It's time for dinner.
Yeah, we gotta go eat dinner. Dinner's a little late tonight.
Yeah.
And Zoe has made us lava cakes.
Because it is within the octave of Easter.
It's within the octave of Easter, so we're still feasting.
Woo!
Chocolate lava cakes.
Yes, and it's her second stab at them, and she's really excited about it.
Yeah, so we better get inside.
All
right, thanks for watching, guys. We will see you, I don't know, in the next couple of days. I'm going to do more garden updates. So if you haven't seen the garden update that I did earlier today, go check that out. It's just a kind of an overview of what I've planted and what we've got going. And I'm excited about the garden this year. So, all right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.